I hope you understand how important it is to have him in your camp. This part of the state has been ignored for a long time, but no longer. And where's my, where'd he go? I don't know what you're doing to grow the party, but keep doing it. Yeah, and this is amazing. We got a lot to talk about. So here's the good news: Carolina's still tied. About 3:35. I don't know if that'll be true or not. But I'm a Carolina fan. We're always waiting next year. I live 5 miles from Clemson, and I've learned to become a Clemson fan because they're really good at what they do. But I like Navo. So this is a great time for South Carolinians. I love football season, don't y'all? Something to look forward to. And as an American, you got a lot to look forward to. We're not going to take it for granted. To the people who gave us this space, thank you very, very much. And a round of applause for everybody who made this happen this morning. Thank you for buying us breakfast, by the way. So let's just get right at it. This county and this part of South Carolina is beginning to change in the right way. Now, how is that? You could have put all the Republicans in a phone booth about 20 years ago. How many people have been a Republican, part of the Republican Party for the last 25 years? Wow. Boy, did your ship come in. Yes. So I want to thank the Democratic Party for growing the Republican Party. Sometimes we make our fair share of mistakes, but it ain't even close compared to this other crap. So there's going to be an election in 2020. I'm going to be on the ballot. President Trump's going to be on the ballot. And very few people are going to be talking about South Carolina, I hope. They'll be talking about North Carolina and Georgia. We got some people from North Carolina. Where are they at? Thank you for coming down. Originally, well, you can go back and vote there too. So here's the deal. We're in the middle of two states that are changing. The governor of Georgia won by like 1.5 points against Stacey Abrams. North Carolina, the president won by 3 points. South Carolina, he did really well. But here's my challenge. To those who built this party, you should be proud. But don't stop. Because that wave you see around us, our goal is to make sure it doesn't come here. And how do you do it? This is the part of the state that we need to do better. And I cannot thank you enough for putting the time and attention to build the party in the PD area. Because where I live in Seneca, Pickens, Oconee, we're good. I'm the first Republican from the 3rd Congressional District since 1877. And Jeff Duncan holds the seat now. And the demographics up home have really shifted our way. But this is where the battle's at. I was in Horry County last night. Some people were down there, right? It was packed. This is sort of the center anchor tenant of the Republican Party in this part of the state. But as you get better, it locks in South Carolina for a very long time to come. But what locks us in more than anything else is that we do good by people. Don't you think that's the future of our party? This young man here? Well, we do right by him. So let me tell you about President Trump. We got off to a rocky start. I was one of 16 people he beat in the primary. And I accept my licking. He called me right after the election, Hugh, and he said, we need to get to know each other better. I want you to help me. I said, count me in. You're now my president. The election's over. I'm here to help you. And he said, I don't have your phone number. And I said, there's a reason for that. This is the phone. I said, I shouldn't have done it. I said, Mr. President, that was the highlight of my campaign. My phone got more attention than I did because you gave out the number. So, he is an amazing man. We got something coming real early on. I've come to like him and he likes him. We're playing a lot of golf. I ain't really got to get better. This guy loves to play golf, and he is good. No joke, good. The only way I'm going to beat him is for me to get better and him to get older. But I've come to learn why he won. Those of us who lost need to accept our defeat and be humble. Humble is a good thing for politicians, right? So I want him to do well. I want the party to do well by the people of the country, and I am pleased. If you had told me in January 2017 all this would happen, I would have believed it. We just confirmed the 150th judge. So when you said I could go anywhere and be welcome, that's very nice, but that is definitely not true. There are some places if I went to that need more cops than we got here today. But that's an amazing number. We're on track this year to do more judges in 2019 than we did in the first 2 years combined. We'll talk about Kavanaugh here in a minute. So the point is, if you're a Republican, Trump has done well by you. If you're a working man and woman, he has done well by you. If you're a military member, he has got your back for the first time in a long time. So if you believe in conservative judges, your ship came in. So it's all good, right? If I had 8 years to live, I would want to live during the Obama years because it seemed like forever. And look what we've done in a couple of years. Do you think it's an accident the economy is this good?
No.
I'll make a statement. If you're able-bodied
It's not her.
and you don't have a job in Florence County, you don't want a job. I can get you a job in the next 15 minutes. You have to work, but I can get you a job. The bottom line is the economy is the strongest I've seen it. South Carolina is doing really well, and we're going to keep this thing going. So the president gets feed on from the time he wakes up to the time he goes to bed. He's got the toughest hide of anybody I have ever met in my entire life. And I just want you to pray for him and his family. Now, you and I, we accept what comes our way, but it's tough on families. Can you imagine what the news would be like if Melania were a Democrat? Ivanka and Jared. The double standard is unbelievable. So let me give you a little update of what's coming. The Horowitz report will be out in a few weeks. He will not go to the House, but he's coming to the Senate. I promise you. Have you been following this stuff? Yes. Don't you want to know what happened? Yes. So here's what I said. Okay, let Mueller do his job. Mueller did his job. No collusion. You know what I've come to learn? If you can't collude with your own government, why do you think he's colluding with the Russian government? He's a big colluder. That's not his strong suit. So the report is in, $25 million for the FBI agents, 2,500 subpoenas, and a partridge in a pear tree. It's done. But it's not enough for them, is it? This is not about, how many of you believe that Jerry Nadler is looking for the truth? If you believe that, you should not be allowed to drive. Yeah, they're looking to get him. They don't accept him winning. And it's been that way from the day he raised his hand. And I've never seen anything like it. And just look what we've done in spite of them, right? But when it comes to President Trump, the best is yet to come. And we're going to talk about that. But we're going to look back and see what happened in 2016, not just to Trump, but on the other side. Don't you think somebody should look at the other campaign?
Yes, sir.
Well, it's coming, folks. Horowitz will be out in a few weeks. I'm dying to know how on 4 separate occasions a warrant was issued based on a document that's a bunch of garbage. And let me tell you about the media in America. If the Republican Party had hired Christopher Steele to look into Clinton, don't you think it'd be on the front page of every paper in the world? What if we found out the FBI agents hated Trump and wanted her to, the bottom line here is hated her and wanted Trump to win. The bottom line is they're not covering this anywhere but on Fox. And this is a big deal. Did Obama know that there was a counterintelligence investigation of the Republican nominee? Can you imagine if there were a Republican president who authorized an investigation of the Democratic nominee? People would be going nuts. This Papadopoulos guy, was there any evidence at all he was working with the Russians? Stay tuned. Stay tuned, okay? Some advice for young people. Don't do what Hillary Clinton did. It will not work out well with you. If taking a hammer to a computer is not obstruction of justice, what would be? But that ship has sailed, but we're going to look and find out why nothing happened to her. And we're going to find out how it got off the rails. And I'm going to call people and ask them to explain to the country, did you sit down and actually plan to wiretap the president? Can you imagine if the head of the FBI and the Department of Justice openly talked about wiretapping a Democrat? Do you want to know about this? You're going to know. This is why being in charge matters. None of this is coming from the House, but it's coming on our watch, on my watch, and we're going to slowly, methodically lay it out. We're going to declassify as much as we can, and we're going to tell the story so it never happens again. The rule of law is just not for Democrats, folks. It needs to be for everybody. So, let me give you an illustration of what the times were like. Kavanaugh. How many of you watched the hearings? How could you not turn it off, right? It was worse being there than it was on TV. So here's the point I want to make to you. It's just not about Trump. It's about all of us. It's about conservatives, not just President Trump. And let me tell you why I believe that. Kavanaugh worked for Bush. Any Republican president would have picked Kavanaugh to be on the Supreme Court because he's the most qualified man of his generation. Impeccable background. If he moved into your neighborhood, you would have a good neighbor. I've known Brett for 20 years. If I thought drinking beer would make you that smart, maybe I would drink more beer. The bottom line with the guy is he's everything you would want in a judge if you were a Republican. And I told the Democrats, you ought to be glad, because he could have picked Judge Judy. You never know. This guy's actually a judge. Not only was he actually a judge, he was on top of everybody's list. And look at what they tried to do to him. A judge to liberal Democrats is a politician in a robe. A judge to us is somebody who makes sure you follow the Constitution, calls balls and strikes. Why were they willing to destroy his life? And they were. Why? To keep the seat open. They said it. They were dumb enough to say it. One member of the Judiciary Committee said, well, we're just trying to keep the seat open so we can fill it. The rule of law and all that stuff is really important. Can you imagine what it would have been like if a Republican had done this to a Democrat? What if some lady had come to me and said, I've got a complaint against a Democratic nominee, and I never shared it until the last minute? What if she had told me, yeah, I'd be interviewed in South Carolina, I don't have to go to Washington, and nobody actually told her that on her legal team? So, what if a Republican told the Democratic Supreme Court nominee, you don't have the presumption of innocence because I don't agree with your judicial philosophy? All the things they said toward Kavanaugh, if we had said any of those things, it would blow up the country. So here's what I want you to remember. These people are getting crazy. They're getting desperate, and they're very mean. And the reason that people in the country listen to me is because I voted for their judges. Strom Thurmond voted for Ginsburg. You'll never convince me that he thought Ginsburg was the right pick, but she was qualified. Fritz Hollins voted for Scalia. It used to be that way. Why is it always our people? Bork, Thomas, Alito, and now Kavanaugh. Why is it always the conservative judge that goes to the bill? Because they see the court as politics in another form. So I sat there, and I sat there, and I sat there. And what broke the dam for me was when he was asked, Kavanaugh, if you're really innocent, why don't you turn around and ask to extend this investigation of your life after his wife and his daughters had gone through holy hell. This is not the Soviet Union, right? You don't have to prove yourself innocent. And how do you defend yourself when they won't tell you when it happened and where it happened? How do you do that? They say this is Islam. Not one prosecutor in the world will bring this case because there's no evidence of time and place, and it's 30 years ago. And the people allegedly there said it didn't happen. But they went ahead anyway. The Avenatti claim, remember that one? The third one, the lady said, I went to 9 or 10 parties where women were being drugged and raped. Wouldn't one be enough for you?
Oh, yes.
So this was a sham, despicable, tried to destroy a good man's life, and to the extent that I spoke for you, I am very happy. We're getting into the election season, and it's going to be a rocky road, but here's how we're going to win. How many of you saw the Democratic debate? This is how we're going to win. I told Trump, if me and you go to Florida and play golf to November, and you don't say another word, we're going to win. Just shut up. Let him talk. All right, let me give you an example of what the country would be like if he gets 4 more years versus them. Let's start with the border. How many of you believe it's good to secure the border? Yes, right? Democrats used to raise their hand. We appropriated $40 billion in 2013 for border security when we did a bill on immigration. Every Democrat voted for it until Trump comes along. We did everything but put alligators on the border. Now all of a sudden it is wrong to want to build a wall. This is nuts. So what have I learned since 2006? If you don't control your border, they're going to keep coming. We've got 11 million, probably more, illegal immigrants. We've got 2 neighbors here, right? Mexico and what other country? Canada. I've never met an illegal Canadian, but I've been looking for them. They come here, go to Myrtle Beach, Canadians, and they go home. The people coming here, coming from poor, corrupt countries, I get that, but you can't have everybody coming from a poor, corrupt country. There'll be no place left, right?
It'll be poor and corrupt.
Well, all of it. So here's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create control out of chaos. Securing your border is a darn good start. Here's what Democrats are offering as their alternative to a wall. We will decriminalize coming into the country. You got one party saying, let's secure the border, wall where it makes sense. You got another party saying, well, why don't we decriminalize illegal entry? And once you get here, give you free health care. Half the world will take us up on that.